LeisureCast. My name is Brian Crossguard, here with the one and only Josh Olswich, who chose until I pressed record to make mic handling noises.
Sorry. Did I ruin everything?
You ruined it all. It's okay though.
Well, as the NLDS champion.
Yeah, congratulations. I mean, the Braves they didn't put the bats together. You were scared when Acuna hit that deep fly ball, though, weren't you?
Not only that, but I was terrified when Rojas took a weird route and jumped.
Yeah.
I don't know if you listened to the after commentary where Jimmy Rollins was talking about how it's obviously you're in the outfield, you're saying I got it or whatever, right? But in that moment, especially in that part of the stadium, for people who don't know, there's this out jutting corner thing
from left field to center field. It shoots deeply back,
right? And just for full background, sorry, bases were loaded. Acuna's what, the MVP?
Braves versus Phillies.
Braves versus
my
Phillies.
Team versus Josh's team. This is why we're talking about it on this podcast.
Anyway, so you're taught as an outfielder, an infielder, whatever, you tell people around you have the ball, you're catching the ball, right? But he was saying in that moment, the stadium is so loud and you don't know where the back of the stadium is. And there's a lot of variables there. So
yeah, well, he was running over and he didn't know if he was on the shallow or deep part of the wall, because it's not like a normal center field is deeper. It's it takes a sharp angle to the rear, to a deeper part of the field, rather than a slow, steady curve that you would if you imagine a rounded baseball field.
Right. So if he drops that,
I will say though, it wasn't as loud right after it hits the bat, because it went from pumping to the hush as the ball's in the air. So he may have been nervous and it may have been loud, but it was not near as loud.
No, you're right. I did notice that it quieted down, but
a collective catching of the breath.
The Braves couldn't get a hit together, and the bullpen, the Phillies, just kept walking people. You can't defend against walks, so they got super lucky.
Yeah, they did. I would have liked to have seen it go to a game 5, but honestly, the Braves didn't deserve it with the way they played. I don't think the break did them any favors. They lost their bats, they lost their courage.
Yeah, Derek. So Jeter said something, I don't know on what program, but he was saying next year, the wild card, whatever the 5-day break was, that just kind of shuts down the offense, was his argument.
Yeah.
So because both of the winningest teams lost, right?
Yeah. And pretty badly, 3-1 and 3-0.
I could see that argument on the first game, but on the next 3, you know, I mean, maybe
groove, I guess.
Maybe momentum and
anyway, it's too bad. Josh wins again.
Josh wins another steak. You heard it here first.
No, we didn't bet the steak because I didn't want to have to.
We bet the steak. We wanted to take. He doubled down. You said 2. Said a tomahawk, at least, tomahawk or bust.
I gotta send you a tomahawk. A tomahawk.
Wagyu tomahawk.
An actual.
Steak
chop.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. Well, we're talking about baseball. We might as well keep doing it because, crypto didn't do anything really in the last week. So,
well, I said in the beginning, I had to make the pre-show. I had to make a list of stuff to talk about because not too much going on.
Well, there's the price stuff, which is, I don't know. It retraced a lot of the green candle from 2 weeks ago. The thing that's gone on is everybody's watching this SBF trial. That's actually the thing that's gone on.
Well, the other thing is the war in Palestine, Israel.
Yeah.
Just insanity over there.
Yeah, it seems like, politics aside from it, I think it's the greatest escalation that I've seen since 9/11. It feels bigger than Ukraine.
Oh, for sure.
Russia.
Yeah.
Yeah. It feels like it's very dangerous territory right now.
It feels like World War III type escalation.
Yeah. That's what it feels like. Well, all the World War IIIs that didn't happen because at some point in the escalation, somebody steps in and prevents the next domino from falling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's America or some other country, or somebody stepping down or whatever. and the question is, what does that look like here, when, where, how? Like, yeah, not without trying to get into all of the details that I'm not qualified to talk about.
Yeah, it is not a great situation, to put it lightly. Just awful stuff over there. Talking about gold. By the way, we're live here on Twitch and YouTube. If you ever want to join, I don't know how many people listen these days on the old podcast app, but
They do. I still get like little reports about, X thousands of people listen to this, which is
that's good. But for the people who want to chirp at us while we're talking, one argument I saw, the anti-Bitcoin people are specifically saying, look, here's a geopolitical event, this singular event that gold is up, Bitcoin's down. It's obvious. Bitcoin's dead. It's over. I don't know if I'm on that camp, but N of one. Look at every other geopolitical event. Look at Lebanon, Greece. I mean, you can go on and on and on and on and on. China. We can't just look at this and say, oh, Bitcoin's not the safe haven because it's going down instead of up. I don't know. It's just silly. It's just a silly argument, but
yeah. I mean, yeah. There's so much intermarket relational stuff. Like, based on the rate of inflation the past few years, gold should be much higher, but real rates rising dramatically has prevented that. So gold bulls would say, well, wait for rates to pause or go down or whatever, and you should turbo moon. So we'll see if that happens here. Like, does gold show up now?
Well, last week we had rates rising, TLT falling. Then we have the war start, essentially the terrorist act, however you want to classify that. Then we have this flight to safety narrative, which helps out bonds a lot in the interim, not, I don't think, in the long term. Then we have this really terrible treasury auction, which I'm not going to begin to explain, but
it caused an immediate jump that was like from a multi-sigma variation in real time, like 1 second to the next. It was insane.
Yeah, 1 p.m. on Thursday. It was yesterday.
Yeah, something like that.
So this yin yang between risk on, risk off, oil way down, despite maybe the popular belief of Middle East stuff going on, oil up. It's just everything's all over the place. So I don't think there's a singular view that makes sense necessarily, other than there's still a ton of debt, yields probably still going higher, and that's about as far as I can go.
Yeah. It's an interesting environment for markets, which is what I'm going to try to focus on. Like, how to, there's a podcast about markets. So how do markets respond to the events in the world? Gold itself, from a monthly basis, because it's recovering a terrible month last month, it does look very prime to do something.
It has looked like that for 2 years.
Yeah.
It allegedly, when it had the biggest string of down weeks in, I don't know, 25 years, that's when all the central banks were buying. Remember that?
Yeah, this is May 2022 to October 2022, when the narrative was strongest. It got obliterated. Now, it did recover most of that and then pretended to break out again and then broke down again. So the question is, are we going to have a fourth time's a charm here above $2,000 gold? And what would then become a theoretically significant breakout, some price exploration, like that would be gold's moment. That would be, and it would make sense on the a lot of money in the system, a lot, yield getting under control, stabilizing. That would make sense for gold to do something at that point. So I feel like, we're getting to the meat here.
The technicals are there. Arguably, the fundamentals from a risk perspective are there, but the fundamentals relative to real yield are against gold. So again, it's this yin yang between rising yields and geopolitical turmoil, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Can you find the geopolitical turmoil on the S&P 500 chart?
No. And again, you'd think maybe that would be down on the week, but I don't think it is.
No, it's technically up. It looks pretty bad, but technically it's up. We're still relatively close. It looks like a throwback to me, but that's my bias kicking in, I think. Like a bearish throwback.
Well, imagine if this actually acts as a cup and handle and breaks out before gold.
Yeah.
How funny would that be?
I mean, yeah. I am not predicting for stocks to go into all-time high price exploration. I've said that for a very long time on this show and others. Here's my old ancient squiggles.
Uh-huh.
I think we've still got another year of dinking around to do. With that thesis, though, it basically requires that this really shouldn't be breaking out anytime soon. If I don't believe that the world is ready for it, there's all this incidental evidence. I don't know if you've been seeing this on your timeline, but seeing all this stuff where we're seeing some of it in real life, like real estate transactions being down or something like that. But there's also, the people that run the dry cleaner saying their business is down year over year significantly, or, signs of potential limits in spending. Have you seen any of these type of comments?
Yeah, for sure. Main Street's headed in the dumps. Like it's
Yeah.
the complete wrong direction. But Main Street is not the S&P 500. Main Street.
Yeah, the S&P 500 is Nvidia and Amazon and Google and
Right. It's the top 7. So
A-Lee says strippers in New York are the leading indicator of Main Street, which I did not know that.
No, I don't think that's what he meant, but there is
I think it's what
some
meant.
correlation
what he means.
Well, there's some correlation with markets and that type of activity.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know what I don't have a good gauge on sentiment here as far as legacy. I had a good gauge at the end of 2022, and as of a couple weeks ago, people were turbo bullish all of a sudden, and we obviously turned down. I don't really know what people are here. I know people are generally on the bullish side of things, but I don't know. I think it's kind of a mixed bag.
Yeah. The Dixie did a good bit of correcting over the course of most of the week. And then in the last 2 days, has roared back. And I think that's what we're seeing a lot with various corrections against the prevailing trend is they're pretty swift. Looks like they're knocking maybe some leverage out of the market, or they're getting rid of lower conviction bets, or people that were late adds to the bet, and then you're seeing the recoveries be pretty rapid.
Well, is the correlation there that yields are up, dollar strength should go up? Is that what's the thought process behind
that? Yeah.
Now that could morph into like a lower time frame Head and Shoulders as well. Based on its strength, it probably won't, but it's something to watch for next week if it stalls out here.
Yeah, makes a lower high.
Right, it's in the right shoulder.
See if I can. I'll squiggle this for people if they're not.
Before this, it was 14 weeks in a row, right, or 13 or whatever it was.
Yeah, it was a lot.
So it would make sense for it to mean revert a little bit, even more than it already has, and it still could keep going, after that. So it's not like the dollar's dead, crypto's back. No, we're still very much in a very bullish environment for DXY.
Yeah. Bitcoin itself, like we said, not a huge change. I mean, week over week, it's down, but only from 28K flat to 26.7. Not a huge amount. Still in a range.
Well, another thing these gold bugs are discounting is like the week prior, Bitcoin was up relative to gold. Gold was down significantly, and Bitcoin was up. So, if we're going to just pick and choose data points,
Well, it seems like gold bugs like to do that anyway. So do Bitcoiners, for what it's worth. But
Sure, but, look
Just
at the at
trader.
least look at the next week prior to what you're talking about, and
Yeah, there is a range basically from, I don't know, 26 to 30K that it's hard to have a lot of conviction either way until you see something break there, um, on a weekly closing basis.
where this stands, it should not break up. It just shouldn't. It
Yeah,
doesn't
it
look
it
like it
doesn't look
wants
like it wants to.
no.
Yeah, that's
Last week we had a spinning top. This week we confirm it. The only variable that we're waiting on is at the end of the day today is the deadline for the SEC to appeal the GBTC ruling.
Really?
And that's the only reason why I'm not super, super, super turbo bearish right now. So if by the end of the business day we don't hear from the SEC, there is a pretty decent argument that the spot ETFs are even closer than we think because they're not going to put up a fight on the GBTC product.
I didn't realize that was a thing. I mean, what time is it? It's almost 2 p.m. Eastern time.
They have like 2 hours to put something out, so we'll see.
We should live stream it.
Live stream 4 p.m.
Come on, Gary, what you got?
Yeah, because ETH looks terrible.
Yeah,
ETH
I'm
looks
just showing the
bad relative to Bitcoin.
Yeah, this little inverse banana of ETH BTC.
The difference though is if you look at GBTC, if you look at ETH, now as trading vehicles, right, not as like long-term buy and holds, they look really, really good relative to spot. And that's another problem. Those are better trades, flat out. Another problem we have right now is bond volatility. People would rather play in that playground than playing with TLT or wherever else than dealing with anything else at the moment.
Oh wow!
Look how strong that looks relative
I'm
to spot.
shocked that ETH is above $11. I hold some. I just, because ETH's been down, I choose not to look at my account.
I simply choose not to open the app.
I'm not even kidding.
You can't be down if you don't know.
Yeah,
it's
right.
willful ignorance or whatever.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I mean that looks significantly stronger than.
Yes, it's flagging. It's inverted head and shoulders thing. It looks so good relative to spot. It's crazy. On top of that, you also have a discount that's closing that's on your side.
Wow.
So I suspect
if Bitcoin looked like GBTC, I'd be.
It looks like
pumped.
spot. It looks like gold spot, right?
Yeah.
Or spot gold.
Let's go. You're getting me bullish here, Josh.
So if 4 p.m. passes and we don't hear anything from Gary,
Pump
I
those up.
I bet those are going to be gapping up on Monday.
Interesting.
And you're seeing it in the discount as well, closing pretty, we'll say slowly, but it's continuing to close. So
what is the most liquid like Bitcoin options market in legacy? BITO, BITO, that futures ETF?
Bitcoin like options product or
yeah, in traditional legacy markets.
Yeah, so BitO has around $1 billion AUM. There's also BitX, which is a 2x Bitcoin ETF.
But those are pure plays. If you want derivatives, like theoretically, those also have the best optionality.
Well, we can't use the word option. We're confusing me and the audience.
Yeah.
Can you use those for exposure?
I want to buy calls on a Bitcoin product.
So you are talking about options.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm talking about options. That's why I think BITO is still the best one to pick in that regard for options liquidity.
There's BITO, there's BitX, and then there's all of the ETFs that have added ETH into their Bitcoin basket. So you'd have to go through that list and see like if the allocation percentages align with your
the ETH and
viewpoints.
BTC blend.
Yeah. But so there are options out there that aren't. There's that word again. There are options that aren't spot, right?
Right. So. It's going to be really great, I feel like, when some of these do switch to physical, because then they're actually going to be real coins. Yeah.
Paper markets Paper markets are tough, though.
Yeah.
Should we get to the allocation pie?
Yeah, let's show it.
I did this
I've been
yesterday.
working on some charts. Very important charts.
I did this yesterday with the stream that I did.
With my name on it?
No, just for
Okay.
my personal. So I asked chat, I said, are you bullish, bearish, or neutral? Most people said neutral, not to lead the witnesses in this chat, but and I said it's important to like decide what you want your allocations to be based on your viewpoint. So what do you think your
so you're saying mine is unfilled currently.
Right.
You're allowed to create it.
I'm guessing this is just your crypto stack, by the way. I'm guessing it's like this and like Aave. I don't know. You don't have to say, but I'm guessing it's dominated in ETH predominantly.
I do not hold a majority Ethereum.
Okay.
Nor do I hold a majority Bitcoin. I don't know if I hold any Bitcoin.
Oh, God. This guy.
Yeah.
I have alts at 5% for people asking. I hold a little bit of Chainlink and a little bit of Solana. Like I'm talking slivers here. I don't even think 5% is accurate. It's probably 2% or less. So
I'll tell you where my heart's at, Josh.
Yeah. Okay, sure. Where's your heart at?
My heart is probably, I think right now is actually a decent time to have a Bitcoin balance. So let's do Bitcoin 40%.
Okay. Not investment advice, by the way.
No, it's just where my heart's at.
Right.
It's not where my bags are at. My bags they have a mind of their own. It's lizard brain trading over there.
Sure.
Ethereum 30%.
Okay.
DFU.
Okay.
25%.
I mean, that's a lot of percentages. Do those add up?
Yeah, it's about to.
Okay.
And then one more.
Yeah.
YOLO 5%.
YOLO. Okay. All right.
And DFU can be you can call that your I would call those concentrated bets amongst quality older coins. So for me, in that basket, like there are certain very specific candidates within the DeFi realm, or even within like the layer ones realm. But for me, that my only real choices there are like Solana, Aave, Link, those types of things, like where something has some kind of chart setup that I like.
Right. That was my argument for the alt positions as well.
Maker is another good option in DW.
Well, let me bring that up real quick because my issue with Maker isn't that it's a super strong chart or coin. It's that you've kind of missed the move,
Yeah, I don't know. It still looks good. Toby the Tipper said I own 100% Maker. You're wrong, but you're not that wrong. Like you're in the realm of my stupidity.
Here's a dumb question. Can you get yield on Maker or no?
Yeah, there's got to be.
Or is that baked into the price? Maker's changed so many times over the years, I don't even know what's going on anymore.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't hate. So Andre brings up GMX and DYDX. I don't hate those plays if trading actually comes back to the ecosystem.
Yeah.
So if you want to front run the idea that people are going to start trading again, sure. But I think we're so far away from that. It's tough. So I don't hate those plays. I know Arthur Hayes is like loading up on the GMX boat.
Arthur Hayes has also been tweeting like $1 million FDV low caps. I don't understand what's up with that man. Like he is a wealthy man, so I thought like,
yeah,
I don't get it. I really don't know what he's doing.
I agree. So that's the only reason I don't like Maker here, just from a relative value perspective, based on the rest of the market. But it has held up really well. It's played really well. If rates, here's my thought process on Maker. If rates stay high and Maker's able to be a part of that ecosystem, sure, looks fine.
Have you seen the chat brought up Lido? Have you seen it?
I have not.
The interesting one.
Let's see.
The daily is interesting. It just says this like
You like this chart?
I could potentially like this chart. Yeah, I think it needs to actually breach. I think it needs to get above about 170.
I mean, it looks like curve before curve broke down.
No, I don't think so. Can you? What's
Pull up
wrong
a
with
real
you?
chart?
Put candles on your chart here?
Sorry. I've
Demoted your chart.
I have so many windows, it's hard for me to know where to go.
I just like these ones where I think I might have one. No, these ones where it just feels like it kind of wants to like create a bowl. Like it might take some time. It's not like I'm thinking it's just.
So you can either be a hero and think you're gonna, bottom tick 163 or whatever this is, 153. For me, I'd rather buy like 180, 185. That's just me.
Well, that's basically what I said, right?
I don't know. Was it?
I said above 170.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So like, take this trade.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. I don't hate it. Set an alert. Wait for it.
Yeah, you'll set an alert for 170 and it'll be $2. Crazy.
Possibly.
Yeah, so I have some stuff like this is why I said a difference between where my heart is and where my bags are. Like I have some things, not Lido, but like where I'm willing to just wait it out.
This is relevant to Bitcoin, but I saw this yesterday. This chart is Consumer Staples XLP.
XLP.
And what scares me about this is I see the daily Bitcoin chart here. It's just Josh seeing things probably, but this is our potential fate for Bitcoin. Because you got your falling wedge, you got this like super rigid left shoulder, you've got your up and down head, and we're in this part of the setup for Bitcoin, in my opinion, potentially, right?
That chart is disgusting.
Yeah, it's quite awful. And if you zoom way out, it's at the bottom of a multi-year range. It looks quite bad.
I love some of these DeFi charts too because I get so excited right when they're at the top of their ranges. Here's the link again. So like I drew this box for I don't know, everybody drew this box. And you think like, oh, look at that right here on that line. It's going to be great. And then it spends 2 weeks, backfilling and it's back into complete no man's land. Like there's no urgency on this. That doesn't mean it's a bad play. Like,
well, nobody wants to be the first person to buy 850,
Right. Yeah. Like if you're this guy, like you got to have some conviction. So you need to wait for that person theoretically, or be willing, like get it low enough in the range to be okay. And that's kind of where I am with a couple of non-majors.
Well, yeah, and I agree. And that's where you need charts to look like this for something to happen. There's no guarantee, right? But if you think about like GME and AMC, the extremes as far as the possibilities and the potentials, not saying that Link is going to go to 100, but
yeah,
you need a year plus of sideways chop nothing accumulation type setup.
You're buying those types of levels slowly over time, and then your average is tolerable, and then you have a more acceptable kind of stop loss, like kind of mental break for when you're done with that trade or that idea.
Yeah. I do think you're dangerously allocated, but that's you.
Well, keep in mind, this is like as a percentage of my tradable net worth, like stuff that's not, like angel investments or things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have a lower percentage of crypto net worth than I've had in a very long time over these past couple of years, because I took a lot of my tradable net worth out of crypto in 2021 and 2022.
Right.
So I don't mind carrying a little bit more risk because 95% of my net worth is not sitting in DeFi coin.
Right.
Right. Like, anyway,
sitting in 1inch and Link and Aave and Lido.
Don't worry, it'll be 95% again. It will become again, Josh.
Well, this is the next part of the exercise.
Oh, okay, great.
Your legacy stack.
ETH.
Okay.
My DGen IRA is like 100% ETH. My I don't have a liquid stock stack. I don't care about that. Like a non-retirement. And then we have a 401k product that's like 30% gold and 70% treasuries. It's trying to play both sides of that one.
Okay. So we'll go.
Let's say ETH is 30 20 50, something like that. So like 50% treasuries. Yeah. I'm just making that up a little bit, but not too terrible.
I mean, hey, I don't hate it. That makes sense. That's not the right one. Anyway, just an interesting exercise for people. Really, because right now is a great time to be sitting in cash. Which is another problem for.
It's been hard too. Like I put some of that fund. So you have a lot of cash too, huh?
Yeah, ton of cash. More cash I've had long time.
I actually, the current S&P is at a similar price than from where I put most of it into cash. Because I sold like that breakout, and I just didn't believe in all-time high. So I was like, all right, screw it, going to cash. And then after, I don't know, a month of that or whatever, Fidelity or whoever manages the fund was like, based on your retirement profile, we think you are underallocated. And I was like, oh, screw you. I want to go even more cash now. But yeah, I act completely differently depending on the account. And crypto has always been my like fast trader, much more YOLO with anything I keep liquid. So if I want to keep it but more de-risked, more long-term thinking, I have to put it in other places.
Yeah. I'm the same. I don't know if that's just general human behavior to like partition and allocate accordingly, but it's another great reason to have multiple accounts to just save yourself from yourself. You know, we talk about that all the time.
Yeah. What stocks do you like? The chat's talking uranium. Uranium had a run, and it might be on the throwback, or it might be I lose money again season. I always do uranium terribly. I love it, but my lifetime losses are on uranium stocks are probably like as high as my tradable account.
So I thought Meta looked the best of the.
That weekly is terrible though.
Elite 8 or whatever. But this daily is not great.
Wait, so Facebook's back to being elite?
It's been in the top 8, right?
Okay, so it's one of the ones carrying the market.
Yeah, it's Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, Nvidia, Google, Tesla, Meta. And then I throw a Netflix in that bucket just to make it 8 to round it out. Netflix looks deader than dead right now.
Yeah, it's not great. Also, if you like turn on Netflix, there's nothing on there.
Yeah, I haven't watched Netflix in a little bit. Although I did watch the Schwarzenegger documentary, which was good. Recommend that. Like
we're watching Netflix, but yeah, there's documentaries that are super cheap to put out, but I don't really think that keeps subscribers. We're only using Netflix to watch like old shows, like random TV that was on forever ago. Like this isn't even an endorsement. It's literally just brain filler. But we're watching Madam Secretary right now, and I don't love it, but it's just there. It's on Netflix, so we turned it on. I rewatched.
What that is.
It's like modern, terrible version of West Wing.
Okay.
Kind of a political drama.
Okay.
I did rewatch West Wing. I had to go to Max for that. That was weird.
Well, Max has had baseball too, which has been nice.
I didn't know that.
But yeah, the entire group of this Elite 8 all doesn't look amazing. It has a potential for like regaining strength and going again, but I don't know, right? And if this stuff doesn't look great, the rest of the market isn't going to hold itself up.
Look at IWM.
Yeah, IWM is just it looks like that XLP chart,
Dude, it looks like a dumpster fire. This looks like Link at the bottom of the range.
Well, it had a head and shoulders as well on the daily that broke down.
Dude. That's a classic. That's like Peter Brandt chart school right there.
Textbook. Mid September, yeah. But this is what a lot of like financials and everything else, right? The low cap gems. Doesn't look great for the economy.
No. Yeah, it's like the equal weight S&P. If you do the equal weight S&P, it's a dumpster fire.
Yeah. TLT gave back a lot of its gains on that treasury auction. And I just think everybody's just so sure that this is the bottom of rate or the top of rates and the bottom of TLT. And I don't think that's a safe place to live right now, personally.
Did you see the was it TLT longs at a record?
The put call ratio is insanely favoring calls right now.
Yeah.
Probably like 50 to 1.
Yeah.
People are so sure. Look at this volume too.
That's my biggest concern when stuff like that happens is like, when does that happen? When is the majority just like absolutely right? Or do they get blown out and then, then it goes?
Of course. I think there's this thought process that like we're in the previous rate regime and it's going to be a bond bull market again and rates are going to come down. I just think that's wrong. And I think people are trapped in that mindset and they haven't shifted. So will this be a decent place 5 years from now? Looking back on it, probably, but I still think rates are going higher. Something else to watch is reverse repo. I can't pull it up, but the TLDR is there was 3 billion in there. There's a 1.5 billion in there now. Most of that drain has been into the treasury auctions. Once that is emptied, which it's emptying pretty quickly, then watch out for rates, because where's the money going to come from? Yes, people are buying treasuries hand over fist, like on Main Street, but who else is buying? Nobody. Foreign governments, banks. They don't want to touch it. Nobody's buying. So
is Main Street going to hold the bag on that?
It looks like it. It looks like it. And this goes back to the geopolitical conversation. If we continue funding,
it's interesting. Stuff. It's interesting because it's like, okay, let's say they're getting 5% just as a round number, and they're like, "Oh, this is great. I'm going to secure 5%," and then they keep going, but then they do normalize, but they normalize at 7%. And it's like, I'm sitting here 2% under market and they stabilize there for years. And then you're just sitting there under market for a very long time, particularly people that actually lock them in and aren't doing like tradable products.
Right. So money markets are good for me, in my opinion, non-financial advice.
Yeah, you're taking a discount on the rate with liquidity.
Yep. Short term, for sure. Now, if you're like a pension or an endowment, and you're looking at 4 to 5% long term, like sure, whatever. Like, what do they care?
Well, that's my thing. If they're locking in, and like what they end up holding the bag, I don't know.
Well, we'll see. We shall see.
I hope that 5% is like a high, on a yield.
I haven't looked at yields today. Are they up again?
Oh, they're down.
Down a little bit, but it's been kind of noisy.
Yeah, I think this there's a lot of news driven stuff going on today.
Well, I also think people assume like this is it. It's this quarter. This is it. There's going to be no more issuance in debt, or this isn't going to be a continuing problem, and that's definitely not the case. We are continuing to issue a massive amount of debt. That's not going to slow down.
A couple of things that surprise me in all of this, when I think of which stocks are going to like hold this market up and that are going to be so prevalent still, one that was not on my list of candidates. I would have put it in the Zoom category of wrecked. Is Tesla.
Well,
Tesla has performed so well.
I mean, like Bitcoin, the people that got rich, like ETH, right? There's this fan base, this rabid fan base that
we wish Bitcoin and ETH looked like this.
will ride or die, you know?
Yeah.
Well, part of the reason why Bitcoin doesn't look like that is it was sold down so hard on FTX, but
yeah. And also I think Tesla's actually made some pretty smart strategic decisions, like nuking the price of their cars. It's killing their used car market, but their fans are big enough fans to forgive them for that. And it's making their cars so much more attractive as new cars versus all the other electric options. And like, is this a example of them like buying volume? And they're figuring out how to do it profitably, supposedly. So, if you can sell an electric car for $35,000 or whatever, then
we'll see what happens when the government subsidies end.
Chopped Gaming says it's Tesla, not Tesla. Listen, I'm from Alabama. I drink espresso.
Oh God.
I drive my Tesla. Ain't changed anytime soon.
Chart does look good, but as Doppel says, it's non-union labor. And as somebody from Michigan, I can't not point that out. It'll catch up with them eventually. And Elon is Elon, so.
Yeah. Yeah, I do think that's killing other companies too, like the labor stuff.
Paying fair wages, yeah. Not paying slave wages.
I am pretty pro labor in general. Like think labor should defend itself and get paid. From what I've seen, at least these UAW negotiations are kind of absurd.
Well, you need to start from a place of strength. You're not going to start from, hey, give me a 5% raise, or we're going to shut down the entire planet of manufacturing.
They're wanting to increase wages to like $40-something an hour base and work 4 days a week.
Well, again, you start from a place of strength that gets eyeballs and headlines, and you negotiate somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. I don't know. Dave asked if we're watching the SBF trial. Yes, I'm refreshing Inner City Press Twitter.
I was going to say Inner City Press is where it's at. That dude.
Shout out to that guy. Inner City Press, all spelled out. And it's just these gigantic threads that if you lose your place, you get ticked off and you have to go hunt for 5 minutes to get back to your place. But it's essentially a live feed of the commentary. Like he is not doing direct quotes of everything or whatever, but he's basically taking every significant question, every significant answer, and dictating it.
I don't know why it's not recorded.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't need to be on TV, but at least
just a trial of audio or something.
Yeah, exactly. A trial of this magnitude. Kind of odd. Anything else you're thinking about or looking at? I saw Krugman. I don't know if I'm sure everybody's seen this by now, but
it had to be a joke.
It wasn't. I don't have
serious?
it up. Yes, he's dead serious.
I'm gonna find it because
so Paul Krugman, Nobel laureate economist.
That I would not give him a lot of credit though, despite the.
Oh, he's historically wrong about almost everything. He's terrible. Says we've conquered inflation. If you take out 55% of the basket, it's embarrassing. And he did it a couple of months ago, and he was serious too. It's just.
I'm just gonna go straight to the meme version of the tweet.
Well, it's so bad that the community notes went after him.
Yeah,
that's how bad it is.
All right, so the war inflation on is over. We won at very little cost. CPI, excluding food, energy, shelter, and used cars, is now below 2%. Congratulations. This guy quoted it.
Chris Martinson. Real quick, something about him. Early on in the COVID stuff, he was all over that.
Yeah.
It's kind of gone off the deep end. But anyway, you go ahead.
He says inflation's actually zero now if you exclude food, energy, clothes, water, energy, carrots, healthcare, education, coffee, travel, beer, cars and trucks, and cell phone service. Oh man.
Yeah.
I thought Krugman's thing was a joke.
No, it's not. There's no way.
Community Notes doing their thing. Are you pro or anti Community Notes?
I think Community Notes have done a great job.
I agree. It's like the most wiki-esque type of thing I've seen on anywhere else. Like,
I just don't know how it actually functions. Like, who is it? A group of people? Is it? I don't know.
Based on some kind of consensus.
Whatever it is, they're doing a great job, I think. Looks great. It really, honestly, the whole CPI basket thing, it doesn't even matter what you think. It doesn't matter what pain you're feeling. All that really matters is what is Powell and the Fed thinking, Like, if it's super core, if it's core, if it's something else, that's really all that matters from a market's perspective.
The winning phrase of the past year and a half is don't fade the Fed.
Yeah. Exactly.
If all you did was just buy when they said we're going easy and sell when they said they're not, then you've won dramatically. There was plenty of warning.
Well, there's two more things to watch on the Fed side. Is the QT has continued. They're down $1 trillion from the peak, which is just a crazy number to think about. But they're continuing to let stuff roll off the balance sheet, expire, let the duration expire. So if that changes, that's important. The second thing to watch for would be yield curve control, which people have started to talk about in a serious way in these financial publications. So what that would mean is 10-year yield or whatever would top out at 5%, 6%, and the Fed would just buy whatever goes above that, right? And that's what Japan has done for quite some time. Anyway, so
I don't think that's a very smart.
Oh, it's a terrible idea, but people are assuming the Fed is going to have to do that.
Yeah.
And this goes back to the reverse repo conversation and that just pile of money that's sitting there absorbing the debt currently, but is probably going to end.
For what it's worth, my comment on the Fed was not to say that they're right or wrong in their timing. It's to say that fading it is a mistake.
Right. It's never about how you feel about the situation, as a trader or an individual. It's always about what are the effects on the market.
Like, my feelings are actually that they started raising rates way too late.
Obviously,
and that they are now actually continuing to raise them for too long. I think they should have played, maybe done an initial big push, but I think they went with the big raises, the 75 basis point raises for too long. Should have started tapering off to a quarter sooner. I personally think we're going to feel the negative effects a little bit stronger than they anticipated.
Well, mainstream certainly already is, arguably. Look at subprime auto loans. Look at mortgages. Look at all this stuff. The intent is to bring it to a screeching halt, and they've done that.
But I think there's not enough concern about how much screeching halt has occurred. I think the Main Street pain is much more real than we see currently.
Well, if they think they have a solvable problem that isn't actually solvable, as in you can't actually put the inflation genie back in the bottle to 2%, then they're going to just hold rates till something breaks anyway, right?
Yeah.
And they're not going to move the goalposts while they're trying to achieve that goal, because that would look terrible, as in, raise the inflation target or something. That probably happens after they reach some super core target or something.
One other thing, oil has made a very strong recovery over the past day. These candles, it was in a significant short-term downtrend off the top, which was around 94. That was on September 23rd. Bottomed October 23rd. So it went down for about a month, 94 to 82. Pretty big move. Spiked with the attack on Israel, and then retraced a good bit of that this week. And now it's recovering significantly again, I think, on international events, because there's now reporting of Israel moving ground troops into Gaza imminently.
Well, if you are bullish energy, we also have to fade recession. You also have to fade like the supply demand picture, and it's been tilted towards too much demand, not enough supply. there was some what is it, EIA releases or something about U.S. oil production that came out where we're at record production. So
yeah, I think it's a little more complicated than we just move into massive deflation, like a massive deflationary recession. I think you can still have rising prices in certain sectors, and then also like
stagflation.
Yeah, I've got a long-standing thesis of stagflation.
Yeah.
That hurts just as bad. It just doesn't mean all the prices of things in your life go down. I'm gonna get the deals is what everybody and their sister with cash on the sidelines. I'm gonna get the deals, or I'm gonna be able to power through. But if things stay expensive and your earnings potential goes down, like that can be harder, and it can last longer too because it's like a standstill.
Well, there's the trade down thing where instead of going to Whole Foods, people are going to Walmart, or instead of Walmart, people are going to Dollar General or something. There's
I think
that conversation.
I think that is a real trade right there.
Oh, for sure.
A
Definitely.
real trade. I feel that in my life. Like there's some things where I was like, all right, let's go for it. In 2021, and I'm like, maybe not. I don't need to pull the trigger on this. Like, nice to have, but still relatively discretionary. Like.
Yeah. And then there's the Ozempic conversation and what that's potentially having an effect on food costs or demand. And a lot of
that's an interesting one. I don't know much about it, but
a lot of very, very interesting stuff going on right now.
Yeah,
for sure.
We'll keep watching.
So we want Bitcoin above 25. 25 to stay alive. 28 is where it's party time. If this weekend rolls by and we don't hear from Gary by the end of the day.
That got me excited, Josh. You're gonna get my hopes up here.
It should. Well, look, we got an hour and a half.
Braves in the 7th inning. Here I am waiting on Gary.
Gold also absolutely roofing today.
Yeah, it's doing very well. Gold and oil both up at the same time. You got geopolitical events going on.
Yeah, oil at 5%, gold 3.5%. We'll see.
Bitcoin flat. Welcome to 2023.
I mean, look, I'll take it. At this point, people are waiting for some sort of regulatory relaxation. Look, we're a small fish right now.
Yeah. All right. Have a great weekend, everybody. Josh, good luck in the next round of playoffs. Great to see you. Y'all follow Josh's videos at Carpe Noctem on YouTube. We'll catch you next time.
Monuments crumble in the blink of an eye. The easy river has just run dry. In a house of cards, I feel the breeze wound so tight I can barely breathe. Oh, the chain